So when visiting teams usually play a back-to-back series in Melbourne these days, they tend to play against the Ice one day and the Mustangs the other. This was the first time in the season the Ice had to back up while playing at home, playing both the Saturday and Sunday games. So the Saturday game was like the Sunday game, except the Sunday game was its own game on Saturday, but it was like Sunday, and I'm lost. The Melbourne Ice lose to the CBR Braves 6-5 in another shootout game. In the 4-game series, that means that there has been 3 shootout games, and that must mean these two teams are really well balanced. The Ice got away to a brilliant start with Mitch Humphries laying a perfect feed to Mackenzie to open the scoring nice and early in the first. Matt Armstrong was playing in defence for the Melbourne Ice in this game, so when he skated into the zone, no one really thought too much about it until he released a shot that caught everybody by surprise, including Pitkänen, because it went right over his glove and in the net and made it 2-0 for the Ice. Armstrong also scored the next goal. There was a bit of a scramble around the crease, the puck just bounced out straight onto Armstrong's stick and he was able to pop it top shelf and make it 3-0. The Ice's 4th goal was scored on the power play by Scott Corbett. There was another scramble around the crease and he was able to just jam it in. And you could sort of get the feeling that, we've done enough to play the game through. We've got a 4-goal lead. We should be able to hold this. So when Harvey launched the shot from the point and it went past Huth high glove side, it never really seemed to bother the Ice too much. Maybe Huth was a little bit screened by the D there, but it was still 4-1. There was still, halfway through the game at that stage, and we didn't seem to be panicking all that much. The next goal was a power play goal to the Brave, was credited to Gavin with assists to Taylor and Clayworth. But what the score sheet doesn't tell you is that it was a pass right through the crease, and Marcus Wong was sitting on the far post with his stick on the ice at the unfortunately perfect angle to deflect the puck into the net past Huth. Now that was a goal that seemed to motivate the Ice to make them realise that the Brave are starting to push a little bit harder, and push they did. The next goal was a short-handed goal to Tommy Powell after some great work on the boards by Jeremy Brown. He was able to get the turnover and send the puck to Tommy, and he was able to put it past Pitkänen. Now that made the score 5-2, and it seemed like the momentum was coming back to the Ice, but then the problem with the Ice pushing a little bit further is that defensively their system was starting to break down a little bit. The next goal was a scramble around the crease, credited to Gavin with assists from Miettinen and Clayworth. That was followed by a power play goal to Blunden. There was some pushing and shoving in front of the net, but there was no whistle on the play, and the assist went to Rimakainen and Harvey. The last goal of the regulation time was again scored by Blunden. This time he was given just way too much time and space in the slot there, and Huth really didn't have a chance to make that save. Blunden should have been marked a lot better than that. When you're giving a player of his calibre that much time and space in such an ideal shooting situation, he's not going to miss many of those. So, for the second time in 2 games, the scores are tied at the end of regulation and we head off to the shootout. It looks as if both teams went with the same strategy as the night before, as Powell was the first shooter out for the Ice and he was saved by Pitkänen, no goal. Kokkonen was the next shooter and he scored on Huth. Webster was the next shooter for the Ice and he ended up missing the net completely. That said, the goal horn went off completely unplanned as he was breaking over the blue line, and so I think that shook up everybody, including Webster. Blunden was the next shooter for the Brave. He was able to deke around Huth and bury the goal to win the game for them. Having a look at a couple of goalie stats now, Gustav Huth started in net for the Ice. He made 27 saves on 32 shots for an .843 save percentage. Petri Pitkänen didn't seem too shaken up by copying that puck to the face the game before. He faced 45 shots and made 40 saves for an .888 save percentage. Huth made some fantastic glove saves during the game. He was really strong on his pads as well. It was really just a couple of scrambles around the net and 1 or 2 opportunities where players weren't quite marked as well as they should have been, and that could have made all the difference there. Having a look at the penalties, this game was pretty similar to the previous night in that there was a lot of coincidental minors and neither team was able to really take advantage while they had the extra man. The Brave managed to convert 2 of their 6 power plays, and the Ice managed to convert 1 of the 4 that they had there. The big takeaway that I've got from the Ice for this game is that they were able to show that they had a system that worked against the Brave. They were able to score 4 goals, they were able to dominate play for the first period and a bit, and they just needed to maintain that for a little bit longer. Now, I'm not sure whether it was a case of the Ice thinking, oh, we're 4-0 up, we can take our foot off the gas, or whether CBR Brave figured out what that system was and was able to adjust in time. Either way, it did show that CBR Brave do have some weaknesses in there, or it shows that the Ice have some really good strengths. They just have to put it together for 50 minutes and they'll win a lot more games like that. Next week we play the Bears, and that should be a great opportunity for us to try to put some of those systems in place and try to play the game out completely, get a whole 50 minutes and see where we end up.